Welcome to Cleveland Real Estate Investor. On this podcast, you will hear about every aspect of the real estate investment business. We will talk to rockstar investors about their businesses, how they built them, where they came from, and where they are going. Who am I? I'm Joe Lieber, and I've made millions of dollars in the real estate investment business over the last 20 years. If you're ready to hear the good and bad from a guy who's learned this business from the School of Hard Knocks and get educated by some badass entrepreneurs, then put your helmet on, strap on your chin strap, and let's ride.
Yo, what up? What up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in today to another episode of Cleveland Real Estate Investor. So I want to talk to you guys today about financing houses versus paying cash and all the different ways to finance these investment properties. Today's a snowy day up here in Cleveland. I'm actually coming to you from my vacation home. A vacation home in Cleveland, right? There actually is. There's a little place on Lake Erie called Catawba Island. And I have a second home up here in this nice little yachting golf community. And I had to get a furniture delivery today. So I thought I would come up here, wait for the furniture guy, and record a show that would be of interest and value. So as I stand here and walk around this property, I was thinking about all the ways and all the things I did over the years to finance houses. And we're going to talk about them today. So just to dive right in on this, what are all the different ways to finance properties? We know the traditional ways to do it. We know a regular 30-year mortgage. There's 15-year mortgages. There's owner financing. There's subject to. There's cash. So everybody has a different way of doing it and what works for them. See, some people like to take 30-year mortgages to increase cash flow and enjoy the interest write-off. And that's a whole tax play, and I respect that. I understand that, and I did that. It has its pros and cons like everything. See, I'm a cash guy. I've always wanted to either use cash or get these properties paid for as quickly as possible. I would do that whole snowball effect. One gets paid for, use the cash flow to pay off the next one, and try to get things paid for as quickly as possible. Some of you know or don't know, but my current portfolio has no debt on it. And it's really awesome. I got there quickly with it. I used different techniques to pay it off quickly. And now I'm enjoying that cash flow. But I want to say that not everyone invests for cash flow. It takes a while. There's ramp up periods for this stuff. It takes time to get there. You're not going to overnight have a paid for or this awesome cash flowing property where you're just living off all this passive income and Shangri-La, milk and honey. So, you have to know that this business it's not a get rich overnight business. It's a business where you get rich over time is the reality. So a couple techniques that I like to use are shorter term mortgages. Now that could mean a couple different things. I did a 5-year amortization on a lot of my properties, but I was able to buy properties from 2007 to 2012 for almost nothing, $20,000, $25,000 houses where you could buy them on a 5-year fully amortized private loan and use private investors and get these things paid off really quick. That strategy probably doesn't work that well anymore. But is a 15-year term a short-term mortgage? It kind of is when you're talking about real estate. And you can still enjoy all the tax benefits and things of that nature, depreciation. 30-year mortgages for me, it just seems too long. I've always not been able to cash flow awesome with 30-year mortgages. If you're going to do them, it's fine. But my advice to you is whatever asset you're buying, make sure that CapEx is done. For those of you who don't know what CapEx is, it's short for capital expenditure. And what that means is the major stuff: the roof, windows, siding, furnaces, ACs, hot water tanks. Because nothing will beat your cash flow to death quicker than 3 years from now having to put a roof on. If you're cool with coming out of pocket for stuff like that, fine. But if you're trying to get the asset to pay for it, you better save that monthly cash flow to do your CapEx with. So if I was buying turnkey real estate on 30-year mortgages, I would for sure want to make sure my CapEx is done. Make sure I have a new roof on there and things like that. I've also seen a lot of folks do mortgages by seller, right? So I funded a couple loans like this where someone will come to me and buy a turnkey property. Let's just make up some numbers here or think of the last deal that I did. Like a $75,000 purchase price. You have a house renting for $1,000 a month. I've been doing half down. So I would get $35,000 down. And then I would carry a loan for the prospective investor, a $35K loan. I call it Loan by Uncle Joe, right? Kind of a little tagline thing I started coming up with. And I would finance it. The rates are going to be higher, of course. It's private lending, as high as 15%. I know it sounds crazy, but I'll tell you what. I had private loans in the past where I paid 12 to 15%. It's just what it is. That's the world of private lending. No, it's not hard money. It's not 18% and 10 points. It's private, and private money runs 10 to 15%, usually 0 points or a couple points, and there's not a whole lot of fees associated with it, with getting the loan. It's really not that bad of a deal when you start looking around. And I'll tell you what, I know a lot of people in the mortgage business. I have pretty deep ties to that. It's expensive to borrow money. When you even take out a traditional loan and get a 5% mortgage, look at your loan origination fee. Look at all the title costs. Look at appraisals. I mean, those are all things that really add up and gets expensive. So I'm a big fan of private financing. I think it's actually cheaper and easier in the long run. Not to mention, have you seen all the things that these banks want from people? Tax returns and pay stubs and your 401k statement and a blood sample. And it's really pretty wild, all the things they want. So I'm a big advocate of private financing, and it's people, people have money. There's money out there with the volatility in the stock market and things of that nature. People want to lend on real estate. It's a hard asset. You can never go wrong lending on hard assets. So look around. It's out there. You can buy these homes and really build some serious wealth with private financing. But if not, there's always traditional routes to go. Take your 30-year mortgages. Be careful. Take your 15s. I like 15-year mortgages. They're long enough, but short enough, if that makes sense. And you can still enjoy all the tax advantages and things of that nature. Then there's always paying cash. Should you pay cash? Should you use cash instead of the power of leverage? So that goes back to who are you? How are you built? I like paying cash for homes. I'm not a big debt guy. Just not how I'm built, Some people say, you got to use the power of leverage. And when you finally learn to use OPM, other people's money, then, you're a real estate investor. I get all that. But you know what? You weren't there in 2009 when I was struggling to make those mortgage payments. Rents were coming in. People weren't paying. Money wasn't being generated. I lived that. It was rough, man, when you're worried about paying your private investors or when you're worried about making payments to the bank. So not a huge fan. I'm not a big leverage guy, just not for me. And I'm grateful now I'm able to have enough cash flow where I can hold back a month or two and buy another property cash. That's cool, but good for me. Big deal, right? Who cares? So continue to build. If you have cash, personally, I would use cash if you can, or at least try to get financing with half down. So that's it. That's the takeaway. That's the talk today. Just enjoying my day up here. Another thing just to add, because I'm thinking about it, buying stuff like this, whether you're a car guy or a watch guy or a second home, they always question when. When do you do it? When are you going to rake the cash off the table? Take some chips off the table and really enjoy the fruits of your labor. So it's worth it. So worth it. You got to do that from time to time. I hear folks say, tomorrow or next year or next week or next month or 10 years. Man, if you have ability to do it and you want to do something, go do it today. Tomorrow is not promised. Believe me. So that's it. Thanks for tuning in. It's a short one. Financing. Thanks.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.